Welcome to the VIP event, the first one of Forbes Residences. We're here to unveil Forbes to this exclusive group. We're introducing this project at this pre-launch stage as we wanted to give you an opportunity to see the project firsthand and give you a feel of the uniqueness of this offering. Tonight will comprise of a few different speeches. It'll be myself, the project team, and then we'll have a vision film, and I'll then hand over to our selling agent. To introduce myself, my name is Nick Zabrowski, and I'm the Executive Director of Mastera Property Group. We are a Perth-based or West Australian development company, and we're listed on the ASX. We're very passionate about apartment living and apartment design, and we're trying to look at and create apartment spaces for downsizers and for people who effectively have not been able to find something in the current market. Traditionally, what we've seen is people's perception of apartment living being deterred somewhat because the size of the apartments aren't huge. The amenity is being shared by 1 beds, 2 beds, 3 beds, and it's just something that hasn't been appealing to date for the large landed property downsizer. Forbes is Mastera's flagship property. It's located on the corner of Forbes and Kishorn Road, and the corner site is on the leafy neighbourhood suburb of Applecross. It is the perfect setting for an opportunity for Mastera to develop its flagship project. What we really wanted to do with Forbes is to set a new benchmark for apartment living in Perth. We wanted to test the architectural design ideologies that are currently inherited in existing developments. And we wanted to change the typical terms that are used to describe Perth projects, such as design excellence, world-class, and boutique. To achieve the vision, we set out to find a team who could understand the objectives that we were trying to deliver, who brought depth and experience, and who understood Perth culture and climate and its economy. Effectively, we set out to change the perception of apartment living in Perth. After meeting Richard Hassel, the founding principal of Singapore-based WOHA, and visiting their projects in Southeast Asia, it was clear that the firm's design philosophy was aligned with our objectives. Their team brought international and Australian experience to the project. Richard actually grew up in Perth and studied architecture at UWA. So he understands the Perth market, the culture, and the changing dynamic of trying to create denser cities in low-rise suburbs. WOHA, for those of you who don't know, is a multi-award-winning architect who has designed a number of innovative and highly influential projects globally. In collaboration with WOHA, we paired award-winning architect MJA Studio. MJA is a leading Western Australian studio who brings a creative front-end design edge to the project and who understands the local market in terms of the functionality and the design of each living space. Pairing the two firms together unleashed the architectural license for Forbes, and the team together created the design philosophy, giving Perth residents more of what they love. I would now like to introduce the project architects. Firstly, I'll put a video on of Richard Hassel from Singapore, and then it will be followed by Jimmy Thompson from MJA.
This building defies limitations by really rethinking an apartment building in Perth from first principles. We thought of the building itself as an environment, and so we created shady, beautiful gardens that go up into the sky, and we basically placed the apartments within those gardens. Fourth level, we've removed a whole section of the building to allow for a really fantastic amenity level, which has a beautiful swimming pool with an infinity edge that overlooks the Swan River. I grew up in Perth, and it really formed many aspects of my character. Perth just has the most beautiful light, for instance, and really fantastic climate. So I think growing up, understanding how the strong light reacts against materials, it's so beautiful seeing sunlight coming through the leaves in a sunny winter's day. All these sort of things I think really inform the way you think about designing an environment. On this project we're collaborating with MJA, who are a fantastic design firm from Perth. Together, we create quite a unique team with our ideas and research that we've been doing up here in Singapore, together with MJA's knowledge of the local market, the materials, the skills of the builders, as well as their fantastic design sensibility. Forbes is a unique opportunity to benefit from an inner city lifestyle combined with a riverside garden suburb. So to be able to have a convenient, beautiful apartment, but still be able to go for a walk right outside your front door is something that's going to be very special.
Hi everybody, I'm Jimmy Thompson. I'm the Design Director at MJ Studio. I'm very lucky in my role to work on projects across Australia, and what I want to talk about tonight is really why this project is different, and it is a really different project. And it started out by being different by Nick coming to us in the first place. Now, most developers will come to you and say, we've got this site, this is what we reckon the demographic's going to be, and this is how much money we want to make. And this was the complete opposite with Nick, because really he was like, I want to change the paradigm of apartment living in Perth. I want to be able to create homes that people were really comfortable to live in. And so it's not just flats, it's not apartments, it's actually something quite different. And so he came to us and said, how do we build a team around this to achieve this? And we said, well look, why don't we go speak to Woha in Singapore? And this never happens. You never have a developer come to you and say, how do we build a team to deliver this aspiration, which is so different? So we all went up to Singapore, caught up with Richard, and really started talking about what would it mean to develop a project like this in Applecross, and what does it need to do? And for us, we started thinking about, well, what do we love about Applecross? It's the jacaranda-lined streets, it's the cottage gardens, it's a bit of the sense of community within there, that sense of openness and not having too many neighbours. And so we thought, how do we combine the best parts of living in a suburb with the best parts of living in an apartment building? And that's something how we thought, well, how do we create these sky gardens? How do we break down a building into three essentially jacaranda petals which are separated by these sky gardens? So you imagine making the most of some of the local amenity, being down by the river and walking up to this building and seeing it appear in between the trees, and you're actually getting this relationship between the trees on the streets and the trees in the sky within the apartment. And then you arrive, you're able to get a coffee at the corner hospitality tenancy. You walk into this amazing lobby space with all that volume in there. Say good day to the concierge, he gives you a package which he's been storing. You run up to your apartment. And the great thing about when you get up to that apartment plate is you've only got 3 neighbours. So 4 apartments per plate, which is really rare. They're all corner apartments. You can cross-ventilate them really easily. You've got heaps of frontage, which in apartments is everything. You need lots of frontage to capture all views in all these different directions. And you've always got 2 balconies as well in each of those apartments. So the great thing about this is no matter what time of day or no matter what time of year, there's always a really great place to either have a drink or have a coffee in the morning, go downstairs to level 4. One of the best spots in the building is where all those communal amenities are. You're facing north, again the view towards the city and to Melville Water. It's a spectacular place to be able to host friends. And then if you want, you go downstairs, there might be a dance class on at the Civic Hall. There's very few projects which actually really invite and get the community involved. And I think that's pretty special about this one. There's something different about this. It's very generous in the way it goes about inviting neighbours, but also what it does for its residents. And we think that's why it's, such a spectacular project. It's only 34 apartments. This isn't a big apartment scheme where you've got hundreds of neighbours. This is going to be an intimate, generous development. So I highly encourage you to, get involved and have a look at the plans and ask questions, because it's very rare that something like this happens in Perth, and in our career that's never happened before. So thanks, Nick.
Okay, so I think we can all recognise that that Forbes definitely pushes the boundaries in terms of its design and what is typically seen in Perth in the apartment market. Jimmy does so well at expressing the form and the characteristics of the building, and I think you've touched on a number of items which I was going to touch on, but I think Applecross itself generally sets the scene in terms of its community feel. They're usually large landed properties, tree-lined streets, the parks and foreshore amenity, and also its proximity to Perth. So you can see the aspect from Forbes residences from this view here. And I think Forbes is also about acknowledging what people love about the suburb and working within these attributes into that built form environment. To enrich this neighbourhood feel, we broke down the building into a series of multi-use spaces through the podium and green landscaping to really soften that impact down on that streetscape. We created a form which was representative of a landed neighbourhood property, allowing, as Jimmy said, natural light into each of these lobby spaces. So each of the lobby spaces, as you exit onto your floor, is all naturally lit and naturally ventilated, unlike a lot of the typical apartments that you see in Perth today. This natural light is also, due to that form and shape, you get a lot of natural light penetrating deep into your apartment. So again, feeling like that landed property. Again, excellent cross ventilation. And as Jimmy mentioned, the dual aspect apartments. Each apartment has the two balconies, the north, east, south-west aspects. So all picking up views of the Swan, Canning River and Perth CBD. And then again, these sky gardens, which we've integrated into the building, really bringing that ground plane up on multi-levels to give you that sense of being grounded throughout the building. This project is exclusive. It does have only 34 apartments, as Jimmy mentioned, 4 apartments per floor, minimum common walls. And we think that we've created a home for the residents with opulent and exclusive amenity and high-end finishes throughout the apartment. I think Nikki mentioned before about what the appliances would be, and we've definitely hand-selected high-end appliances throughout all of our kitchens, bathrooms, and our laundries. The actual amenities throughout the 4th floor are also through the lobby spaces, are all hotel-style amenities. So high-end finishes, high-end furnishings, something that will really be a treat to the residents when they arrive home into their apartments or into the building. And they've also got this infinity pool, which again captures those sweeping views across to the Canning and Swan River and also out to the CBD. Look, I'm so thankful for all the creative minds that have come together to create such an amazing project such as Forbes. And I'm really excited to see this world-class development come into fruition and actually be delivered and set the new benchmark for Perth apartment living. I'd encourage all of you to take your time after the presentations to have a look around at the collateral and have a talk to everyone who's here and ask all your questions and get as much collateral to take away with you. The timing of this launch is also quite important in terms of the market. We have seen that the average days on market now for residential property is now lower to 28 days, and that's because of the stock levels in the established areas continues to be to tighten up. I would now like to introduce our selling agent, Vivian Yap, to come and say a few words.
Just want to say thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to actually represent Forbes Residences and Mastera to, I suppose, to sell this development. The apartments are certainly one of the best of its kind, and I really truly believe that it's going to lift up the standards across apartment living in Perth. When I initially met with you, I met with also a few of the directors of Mastera. They asked me, what do we want to see as selling agents if we are selling the property? I said, I want to have something built where I would love to live in it myself, and I would love to see my parents living in this development or in this apartment, or my family members who's coming over. So ultimately, they have been communicating with us every month, and we are talking towards the end, every week we're talking about the finishes. And if you look at the finishes, it's just unbelievably different. Not only it's unique, but it's really to the point where you can actually walk in and feel you're in a 5-star hotel. And that's where I see the difference, and this sets it apart from any other apartment in the whole of Perth. I really can say that. And we're also very proud to be, representing such a high-class, world-class apartment, and to have Woha and MJ Studios to create this masterpiece. It's just amazing. So I'm really, really proud to be here with all my colleagues. I've got Lee Fitzgerald, Emma Milner, Gary, and of course we've got a few more agents who will join us at other events as well. You'll get to speak to them, but at the same time, feel free to speak to us. We would love to walk you through each and every floor plan and allow you to understand what this project really means to not just Applecross but to Perth. So this is really one of the best products I've ever seen, because I had a chance to put in my 2 bolt worth in everything that they wanted to do. So it was really, really good that we are also working so closely with the developer. We don't normally get a chance to do that, but this time round we have a choice in everything, so which is just amazing. Yeah. Thank you.